guys. Happy hour is from 4 to 6.
Miss Kennedy, would you get me a medium dry vodka martini?
What a
Shaken, not stirred.
Hold on. I'm not hearing it right. Hold on. We got it now.
Is there alcohol in this?
Oh, God, honey, no. What kind of mother do you think I am? Why do you want a little bit? Because if you're going to drink, I'd rather you do it in the house.
Make it Suntory time.
Yes, absolutely. Perfect. Hope you guys are all doing well on this happy Tuesday. Happy hour. There hasn't been like a lot going on, I feel like, in the movie news. I mean, the box office was pretty underwhelming for Blue Beetle. I saw Blue Beetle. I had a few discussions about it. It was pretty generic as far as the villain goes and the writing there. I did like the actors that played all the family members, and I liked the family dynamic. I do want James Gunn to continue with Blue Beetle, but I don't think the movie was anything like amazing. But if you enjoyed it, then cheers. I'm glad you did. Today, I have a very special guest, my friend Andrea Pranzata. She has a really great podcast. She and I have known each other for a very long time. I was on her podcast a couple years ago, I think, at this point. I'm very happy to have her on. She'll be on at 5. Hope everyone in the chat is doing well. So I'm going to go into the chat actually to start off, and then we'll have some fun. How about that? Let's see here. Denchi and Scott, hello there. Happy to have you here. Hey, Drew, what's going on? Thanks for stopping by. Hello, Luke. I'm doing quite well. Yeah, doing quite well. I'm trying to figure out what I want to see this week. I'm not positive, but I'm gonna take a look and see what's on the roster here. I know the Equalizer is coming out really soon, but I didn't see the other ones. And even though this one looks really good, I'm not sure if I need to see it. If I need to see the other ones before I see the Equalizer 3. Actually, that's a great question. Well, no one's seen it yet. I will say I'll probably wait till the Equalizer 3 comes out and I've known some people that saw it, because then I'll know if I need to see it, see the other ones before I see this one. So I'll hold off. If not, it's totally fine. Laren, what's going on? Thanks for stopping by. Yes, Cocktail is insane. It is definitely like a time capsule of an era, that's for sure. Bartenders don't do that a lot anymore with all the flair and like all the tricks. But yeah, that was quite a movie. And it's it's a little cheesy here and there, but I think it's really fun. It was in the Tom Cruise 80s. He was in everything, blown up as a young actor. Everyone's saying hi. Hey, dude who loves movies, Cody. Thank you so much for showing up and stopping by. And yeah, Roundhouse, kick that like button. That sounds great. I love Blue Beetle. I plan on seeing it again tomorrow. Yeah, and that's totally fine. And people are totally, that's film subjective. And if you had a great time, that's fantastic. I really enjoyed George Lopez in it. If I had to go on about some of the positives, I thought he really was great. And I think his comedic timing was really good, because a lot of times you get actors in these superhero movies with comedic timing, and like comedy's not their forte, and then they they don't deliver the lines that well. I thought he did a great job with his line deliveries. Reloaded, hello, movie fans. Yes. Jacob Ironside, hello, Nerdy Film Girl. Hello, Jacob. Thanks for stopping by. Let's see. I saw The Voyage of the Demeter and I enjoyed it, but it's getting a lot of hate. I think it's been a while, so I can essentially say why I didn't care for it. And this is that acting was fantastic, great cast, and the writing for them was to a certain point good. And I think the way it was shot on the boat, the cinematography was quite nice. My biggest issue with this movie is, and I think the ones that criticize this film probably have the same issue, they didn't leave the boat during the daytime. Like, they could have all just done that instead of prolonging. Like, because they all hop onto what are those called? Like the life-saving boats. That's like the wrong term, but I think you'll know what I mean. Like, they waited a really long time to do that. And even the one guy that tried to do that, he did that at night. And I just think that's like so stupid. You could have all like safely gotten out of there and just left Dracula on the boat during the day. But they did take a very small portion of the Nosferatu Dracula book, and then which happens actually only at night. So it's like a really short chapter, and it's only discussing one evening. So like that makes sense. But I think dragging that out to actually have daytime so frequently really kind of screwed things up and caused a bunch of writing problems for that. But yeah, the actors were really good though. That's why I'm more disappointed than angry about it. Like I just kind of feel like it was a missed opportunity to be something incredible because it had a lot of the bones there for that. So, but again, oh my god, my cat just moved I think you can still see me. Yeah, my cat just like moved my camera, so we'll see how that goes. Well, this will be an interesting happy hour. It's not, I mean, yeah, on and off. There's been some lovely days where there's a nice breeze. Actually, the last day I was out, like a full day out, it felt like a September day, which on the East Coast over here is like sunny, not cold, nice breeze, not humid, and it was just lovely. But that is kind of the transition as we go from August to September, so we still get some of those like really hot days even in September, up to October really. But mostly once you're heading into September, it does have those just like crisp air, not too cold, don't need a jacket still. So yeah, slip de garçon. Yeah, that's how I would say. Maxfield, my boyfriend, nice to see him in the chat. He is at work. Every cool person here, great to see the love. The first two Equalizers were great. Okay, so I have a feeling, I mean, I love Denzel Washington, and I will say I think the trailer for the third one looks pretty good. I mean, it's very reminiscent of John Wick 4. Actually, I mean, just John Wick in general. I don't know why I said 4 specifically. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is once the third one comes out, if I do need to see the other ones before it, then I will probably wait and hold off. But if I don't, and I get the okay from great friends like all of you, then I will see it in the theater. The only thing that I know that is coming out this weekend is Gran Turismo, which I plan on seeing Thursday. Oh, Luke, you're going to love it. It's really good. There hasn't been like a really good underdog sports movie in a while, I feel like, unless I'm missing something. But that's exactly what it is. And they did a nice job with it. It's not going to change your life, but it's going to be a really nice time at the theater. So everyone's saying hi. Just on my way home. Hi, Lance. How are you doing, by the way? Going to watch Friends and American Pie. Is it the original American Pie that you're going to watch or one of the sequels? Those are classics. Who was I talking to? Oh, I think it was Cody. I think because Cody and I were talking about Strays, and he said he was going to take his grandma. And I was like, well, just letting you know, it's incredibly rated R. Like, it's a hard R. And he was like, oh, no, my grandma's chill as hell. Like, she used to take me to see American Pie when I was a kid. And I was like, well, that's awesome. So Yeah, if she's down with American Pie, then she'll be down with Strays. And I really liked Strays. So if anyone in the chat is wondering about Strays, it's better than you think it is. And I really think critics are being like overly hard on it. My showing actually, I went the Wednesday before it came out officially, and it was all critics, and a lot of them left the theater like late. I'm sorry, they showed up really late, like missed the entire beginning and setup, which is like really important, even if it's a comedy. Like that's what sets up the whole movie. It makes you empathize with Will Ferrell's character, and then a lot of quite a few left early. Like they walked out early, like not super early, but when they had a feeling that it was going to be over soon, they left. And to me, if you're going to do that, then don't be a critic. I thought that was just so disrespectful. And then the next day I see the Rotten Tomato score at like 58 or something. I'm like, well, you guys didn't actually watch it. And like, yeah, maybe you don't want to like critique hard R crazy, comedies like that, but there's a purpose for them, and if they're done well, they should be recognized. I would definitely gave it like a 4 out of 5 stars. I mean, I laughed so much, and actually, I do want to say this. I don't know if I talked about Strays last week. I do want to do a full review on it, and I recorded one, and then it got all glitched out on my computer, and I was so upset. I hate when that happens. I don't know if any of you guys that are YouTubers here, if you've ever recorded something and then you can't use it and you can't edit it, and it's like the file didn't work or whatever the problem is. It's like the most annoying thing, and it's you put a lot of effort into something, and it takes a lot of energy to record a video. So I will be getting that out soon, because really the main thing is just I want to promote this movie. And there's some really great behind the scenes stuff on YouTube that I just saw that I want to incorporate, because you were so used to CGI everything, like movies, and animals mostly are CGI if it's like for kids and things like that. You kind of forget while you're watching it that they actually used real dogs, and there's all this behind the scenes footage of the set of Strays, and it is amazing what they did. Like these dog trainers, these dogs were incredible, like fantastic actors. So I mean, that's a lot of work. I was watching, I was like, this is a lot of work that went on to make this movie, just because you're working with animals. My goodness. But yeah, it's like a rated R, a hard R, Homeward Bound, that's actually executed pretty well. There's a couple moments that are like gross out things, I would say, but if you can get through like the gross scene in like the bathroom scene in Bridesmaids, then you'll be fine with this movie. And it's dogs, so I feel like it's like a little bit less offensive because it's dogs and not humans. Doodle movies, they were so worried about their bonuses to leave. That's why they didn't stop at the closer dock. Or I know. I get that. But like once like 2 of them start, like I don't know. I think a lot of them saw the thing at that point, and it I get it, but I just think you would want to just like leave at that point. And then as soon as they do, though, I feel like they are planning on leaving, but then they don't leave yet. They go through like another night, and I don't know. I again, that's really just my biggest issue. And I think it is because they took something that was so short and small and made it into a long movie. But as far as like a bottle episode type of thing, they could have done that. They could have just had the whole thing take place overnight, and I would have liked that. Your cat has great eye for framing. Thank you. Yeah, maybe that worked out a little bit better than I had expected. Thanks, Bagface. Bagface has a great channel. He was on last week. If you didn't catch that episode, it is on the channel. So if you haven't, check his channel out as well, or check out the episode where he was my guest. KB, hey Tracy, the excessive heat continues here in the Midwest, and my original COVID symptoms have returned. How's your day going? Oh, I know, we missed you on that stream. Last night I was on a stream for Dell. He has a channel called Dell on Movies, and we did a whole top 5 henchmen stream, and KB was a part of that in spirit. He gave him his list, and he had some great choices. It's doing okay, doing pretty well, I would say. I hope you feel better. That's really rough. I know everyone's pulling for you and sending positive vibes to get you through this. Yes, exactly. If I test negative by Saturday, I'm planning a double feature of Blue Beetle and Gran Turismo. That's actually like a pretty good combo, I'd say. They're both like fun, So yeah. at the end of the like I think if I was going to say Gran Turismo is the better film, but like you're not going to be bored in Blue Beetle, and they're both pretty fast paced. So yeah, that's a pretty doable double feature. Yeah, that was me. Haha, I'm trying to get my grandma out to see Strays. I think people just aren't used to comedies anymore. Yeah, it did feel like the comedies of, the yesteryear that were the raunchiness. And I will say that the dogs they cast too are perfect. Like Will Ferrell's dog is just so adorable, and he uses his like Buddy the Elf voice. And so when he's saying these crazy things and that like naive like mental state that he has, or that personality trait, it works really well. And Will Forte is the villain, and he's fantastic. So yeah, definitely really great. I'm going to take this opportunity to do what I started doing because I think it's fun. We're going to open up a Netflix DVD from the mail. I have not watched this. I have no idea what this is. I didn't look on the queue. I did watch The Cooler, by the way, because last week that was the film. I watched it, I believe, 2 days ago, and I really enjoyed it. I can't believe I had never heard of it. Alec Baldwin, William H. Macy, um, Maria Bello. What happened to her? She was really great, and she was on like I don't know, her career was like really booming, and then she disappeared, and she was always really good. Yeah, I liked it. If you like movies that are surrounding a casino, or take place in a casino or Las Vegas, highly recommend it. Um, Alec Baldwin's character gets a little over the top at the end, but besides that, I really enjoyed it. Um, and I never really had heard that term before. Like I'm a big fan of poker and blackjack, but I had never heard of the term like the cooler, and I don't know if that was made for the movie or if it was an actual thing. And essentially, William H. Macy is considered to have like the worst luck ever. So Alec Baldwin, who owns the casino, has him just stand at certain tables when people are winning too much. So he's cooling it down. When you roll the dice and you're hot and then you're cold, you're losing a lot. That's kind of what he does. So neither here nor there. The Cooler was pretty fun. I think it was 2002. I feel like that movie was. If I'm wrong, you can say that in the chats. Either way, we're going to open this up. Oh my gosh. Okay, yes. You guys might be furious at me that I've never seen this. I'm so glad I'm going to finally have the opportunity to. I know this is like considered to be one of the best movies ever made. It's from 1954, and that is On the Waterfront. So I'm very excited to see this. No one's going to be able to see this with this light. Yeah, I always try to get the ones in that I should have seen and haven't. So that's why I love this Netflix DVD queue thing. I'm telling you, it really makes it work. We got only 1 month left of this, so we gotta get these bad boys going here. Yeah, I'm very excited. Elia Kazan, Marlon Brando teaming up again. I'm a big Streetcar Named Desire fan, so yes, I'm excited about On the Waterfront. Let's see here. We've got about 10 minutes till my guest comes. I'm going to go back to the chat because it's pretty active chat, and then we can discuss some other things if you'd like. As far as movie news goes, there's nothing like that is really that over the top exciting to me to talk about right now. But if anyone has anything they would like to bring up, that's fine. The Rebel Moon trailer came out, Zack Snyder's big space opera for Netflix. So I don't know if you guys check that out. Visually, it looks pretty cool. I know that there's a lot of people that are probably going to be nitpicking it to death, but I'm excited to see what it is and where it goes. And I think this is the future of having, I think sci-fi movies are going to be like taking over in the next few years to replace, superhero movies. Superhero movies are always going to be here, but I think that with AI and, all the rocket launches and going to Mars and going back to the moon, I think that's going to be a big focus in films because they tend to reflect what's going on in society, at least somewhat. And I think that that's going to be a big thing. So just as long as the CGI is good or it's minimal CGI, that's all I care about. And then I like sci-fi. So here we are. Strays needs split up into Stray Cats. Well, I thought about that. We both thought about that. There's no way they could get actual cats to do what the dogs did. I mean, the cats, it is very hard to train a cat, first of all. Second of all, to do all of that. I mean, again, if you guys watch the movie and you go on YouTube and see behind the scenes of Strays, it is it's very complicated stuff that they had those dogs do. And they did such a great job. Jason the Old Millennial just watched Across the Spider-Verse. It's my new favorite movie of the year. Like you said, give it all the Oscars. Yes, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I definitely think it's going to get a Best Picture nomination. I mean, I hope that's the case. So that'll be pretty fun. I think the artwork is just stunning. The writing stunning. Everything about it is exactly. Just give it all the awards. If you still haven't seen Across the Spider-Verse, if you haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse, what are you doing? Just do it. I'm serious. You won't be disappointed. Let's see here. Has anyone seen Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret? I remember reading the book in school and enjoyed the book, and the movie looked really good. I haven't seen it, but I heard that Rachel McAdams did an excellent job directing it, and it got really good reviews. I don't remember the book that well, but I know I read it. That would have been like 25 years ago at this point, probably. So I plan on seeing it just because it did get really good reviews, and I like Rachel McAdams because I think it's not she kind of left the spotlight because she was kind of she needed a break, and she came back directing and starring in this movie, so that's pretty good. So yeah, let's see here. Everyone's saying hi. Okay, so if anyone is curious, I'm actually quite curious about oh my goodness, I never mind. I thought the chat was over and there's like a lot more than I saw. So my apologies. I'm not going to switch topics yet. I'm just going to keep getting some of these out before my lovely guest, Andrea, comes on. If you talked about this before, I'm sorry. Has anyone seen Jennifer Lawrence's latest comedy? Is it any good? No Hard Feelings. I have not seen it, but I heard it's pretty good. So, yeah, I definitely want to watch it at some point. I don't know if it's still in theaters. Like, as if it is still in theaters, I would probably see it this week. Or there's not a lot that I'm excited for that's coming out, or that I haven't seen already. So I heard it's really good, and that's another one. That's another R-rated comedy. I think R-rated comedies need to come back. We haven't been having a lot of them, and they were pretty successful. No Hard Feelings did pretty well at the box office. Very small budget. The biggest part of the budget was having Jennifer Lawrence. I think the whole budget was $50 million. And then I believe for Strays, it was a $40 million budget. It made $10 million this weekend. I know that sounds really low, and it kind of is, but for what it is and when the timing came out, that movie's going to make its money back. No problem. So they did, but it's officially done in September. He's discussing the Netflix DVD's mail service. Yes, they announced the discontinuation about, I don't know, 8 months ago. And ever since that, I've, just been trying to watch a lot of these on our list. It's, a shared queue that my boyfriend and I have. And we add things on there. There's like 400 movies on there. So we're going to have to figure something out. I think we're going to just transfer all the list to like Letterboxd in the what I want to watch list, and then just cross them off. So yeah. Double Feature Podcast. Hello, Mika. Thank you so much for joining today. If you've seen anything recently, I'd love to hear in the chat, Mika, because you're always watching great stuff. Congratulations on your growth here on YouTube. I just saw your... Yes, I did. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Yeah, it's just consistency and not giving up, I think, is what, it takes long. It could take a long time, but if you enjoy it and you're having fun, then, that works. I think live streaming is also kind of what helped that. So how many movies do you think you've seen this year? I've only seen 24 so far. I mean, if I could actually pull this up really quickly, because I do have a Letterboxd, but I don't think I started Letterboxd. I don't think I started Letterboxd until March, so I could be off. If I go to what I've watched, though, yeah, so in March, I started in March. So March, 18 films, 9 films in April, 5 films in May, May must have been incredibly busy because I only watched 5 movies. 8 films in June, 13 in July, and 12 in August. But I mean, there's so many great shows out there too, like TV series. Like I'm on season 2 of The Bear, things like that. So most of those recently, I've been seeing a lot of films in the theater this summer. So I think that is what that's kind of why. Lucasfilm was soon under the Lanham Act over featuring the wrong brand of backpack in Indiana Jones 5. Maybe sued? Or let me see here. Or rather misrepresenting the brand of backpack. Oh, well, I didn't see it. So I might not quite know what you're talking about, but that's interesting. I'd like to look into that. Oh, my lovely guest is in the chat. So nice to have her there. She'll be coming on any moment now. Yeah. Rachel McAdams did direct that movie. I saw a whole thing with her on CBS Sunday Morning, and she was interviewed, and she kind of discussed it, like why she kind of got out of Hollywood for a bit, and now she's back, and only being very specific about what she chooses to do. So, Emmett, hello. I saw you on Dell on Movies, Henchman Mania. Yes, that was really fun last night. I'm glad you were there. I hope you had a great time. I enjoyed No Hard Feelings. Yeah, I got to watch it. I bet it's good. Jennifer Lawrence has a very good sense of humor, or comedic timing. She's quite good at that. So I'm sure there's, I'm sure it's good. Good news. I'm planning on seeing Blue Beetle this weekend. Well, if you are, I hope you have fun and enjoy yourself. Everyone's saying hi. You haven't seen 300 Rise of an Empire? This is like, yeah, I have to double this. Just check with this before I invite my guest on, because I think this was brought up last night in that stream. Rise. Oh, is this like the 300 movie? I didn't realize it was called 300 Rise of an Empire. My apologies. Yeah, I've definitely seen 300. I love that movie. That's what got me into Zack Snyder. Yeah, so I have seen it. I just didn't realize it was I didn't know if that was like a sequel or something, like a spin-off thing. I've always just referred to it as 300, and it's been so long since I've seen it, so I didn't realize. So, okay. How cool was it seeing Oliver and Company the way you did? It was so nice. And I have to tell you guys, I was born in New York, and then I grew up in New Jersey, and I had always dreamed of coming back. And when I was a little kid, I mean, my family took me to New York all the time, and I just was obsessed with it and wanted to live here. And I would watch Oliver and Company as a kid, and it's such a New York movie, and it just made me always want to, it just reminded me of how much I wanted to live there eventually. And so seeing that movie on a huge screen in the city that I wanted to be in, and it's a New York movie, it was just so magical, and it was such a coincidence. We did not plan this. We walked by this small park that's right near my apartment, right on the river there, and we're like, oh my God, they're showing a movie. And then it was like Oliver and Company. I was like, no way. And so we grabbed some wine, and then we came back because it wasn't starting for another 45 minutes. And it was just so nice. It was a beautiful night out. It was actually pretty packed. It was really, really great. A lot of couples with wine. You can really drink wherever you want in New York. It's kind of crazy, but they make it very easy to do that. So, you can bring your own refreshments. And remember, there were some kids there too, families. It was really nice. I'm going to view with Drew. I'm going to star this question, and I'm going to come back to it because it is time to bring my guest on. So I'm going to play the little intro video, and we'll be seeing her momentarily.
You guys, happy hour is from 4 to 6.
Miss Kennedy, would you get me a medium dry vodka martini?
What is
Shaken, not stirred.
Hold on. I'm not hearing it right. Hold on. We got it now.
alcohol in this?
Oh, God, honey, no. What kind of mother do you think I am? Why do you want a little bit? Because if you're going to drink, I'd rather you do it in the house.
Make it Suntory time.
Hello, my friend.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
Good. It's been a long time. I've missed you.
I missed you too. I'm so happy you were able to join us today.
Yeah, no, it works out. It's funny too because I normally have band rehearsal Tuesdays, but one of my guys in the band, he's on vacation, so like worked out perfectly because otherwise, if we were having rehearsal, I couldn't have done it.
Oh, that's excellent. And for
Yeah.
anyone in the chat, just to give a little background on Andrea Pranzatelli, did I pronounce that properly?
You did, and a lot of people don't.
Oh, perfect. Well, she is such a talented person. Not only is she an incredible musician, singer, she is also she just started dabbling into comedy, which is also really fantastic. And she's introduced me to quite a few comics that I wound up loving. Mark Norman is one of them, by the way. Max and I recently have been just like watching Mark Norman every day because we're obsessed. But anyway, besides that, she also has a really fantastic podcast. Her description for her YouTube channel is in the link. It's in the link. The link is in the description. My goodness. So I highly recommend everyone in the chat check her out, subscribe, check out her content because she's got some really great guests on and she asks really great questions and it's just a really entertaining channel. I'm going to let you, though, if you want to add anything to your repertoire of amazing things that you do.
No, I think that thank you very much for that introduction. I hope I hold the candle. I hope I can hold the candle to what you said in the introduction. The only thing I'm going to add is I didn't realize this was a happy hour. I don't drink, but I'm going to go grab an edible really quick because if I'm not
perfect,
drink, at least
yes, no, that is absolutely perfect. In the meantime, I will go to the. Oh, you're back. Oh, that was fast.
No, I'm literally like right here.
That works. Yeah.
So we're good.
Excellent.
So I just want to explain to everybody listening, I'm not a movie buff, but I did make a commitment this year to become more well-versed in cinema and TV shows. Maxfield Applegate, one time we hung out and he told me I was an uncultured swine. I don't know if he remembers that.
He was joking.
So I know I'm joking back, but I took a serious commitment this year to like mostly with TV shows. I dabbled in a lot of comedy shows. I watched the entire Seinfeld. I watched Chappelle's Show. Right now I'm on South Park. I did a couple movies. I did The Matrix, which is like, it's incredible that I waited this long to do that. So I don't want to be like cliche. I'm sure you've covered The Matrix a million times, but that's one I did. So
that's fantastic. And I thought this would be fun too for the guests, for the chat, because they can, if you have any movies that you think are great, that you think she potentially has not seen, since she's really trying to like kick up her heels and watch some good stuff, put it in the comments and let us know why she might be liking it, why she might like it. Do you have any genres that you kind of like,
so I will say this, I do like comedies, and I actually enjoyed all those comedy shows that I just said. Like I loved Seinfeld, loving South Park, loved Chappelle's Show. As far as movies, I loved The Matrix. I'm not sure what the movie world thinks of The Matrix, if like they think
they love it. Don't worry,
they love it. I was hooked on that. After I watched it, I was like, how did I not watch this? I started having like an existential crisis. I started like looking around and wondering like what was real. And then one of my friends was like, if you were hooked on that movie, try Truman Show. And I liked Truman Show, but definitely not as big as an impact as The Matrix. But if I could go with genre, I would definitely say I'm probably psychological thriller type of thing. I guess that's what you could call The Matrix, like stuff that makes you question reality, type of thing.
No, that's perfect. I think it's interesting you said that about the Truman Show, because I think that so many films have been, incredibly influenced by the Truman Show, to the point where if you watch it now for the first time, it kind of feels like you've already been there, done that. Whereas when it came out, it was kind of like this fresh new concept. And I think that's why it probably had a bigger impact. There's a lot of movies like that. Sometimes people will recommend something that I probably should have seen when it had been released, and I waited too long. And then I've already had seen so many movies that kind of did the same thing afterwards. And it's not like saying anything bad about that movie. It's just like you could see how influential it was to everyone else.
Yeah.
So I can totally understand that. I'm so glad you brought up comedies. And because I'm always looking to see new comedies from every era, because I think it's very fascinating to see what people did with comedy, in recent movies, new comedies, 90s, 70s. It's very interesting, and you can find a lot of laughs in like a lot of older stuff, because it is one of those things. I'm gonna just check on the chat really quick.
I did want to say something in response to one of the questions in the chat. So you had left off with something, and somebody mentioned like a false or a poor representation of a villain, like a superhero.
I'll have it right here.
I don't have an answer, but I did want to comment that I did see the Joker years ago when it first came out in the movie theater, and I remembered being in love with it, like hooked on it. And then I saw it again a couple months ago and I didn't like it anymore. I don't know if that's like a normal phenomena. I'm just like, I watched it again. I'm just like, why did I like this so much? Like I was like hooked on it. And then I saw it again. I'm like, well, actually, this is really depressing. Like maybe I was in a different headspace at the time where I felt like I could relate to the character more, but I saw it again in like a different light sort of thing, which I thought was really interesting,
That is interesting. And it really does, I think, play a part as well of like what mindset you're in when you watch a film. Sometimes you think maybe this movie sucks, and then it's just because you weren't in the mood to watch it, and then you watch it again, you're like, oh, I love this movie, why'd I hate it, and vice versa. So that definitely makes sense. Absolutely. Let's see here. A lot of people are saying hi. Yes. Hello. I wouldn't actually, I don't know if you heard about this. We were talking about the Jennifer Lawrence comedy that came out a couple weeks, maybe 2 months ago at this point. It actually got really good reviews. It was like a rated R comedy called No Hard Feelings. So I plan on seeing it. I haven't seen it though.
So I have a question for you and the listeners in the comment section, actually. So I know something in the comedy world is that a lot of people have to kind of like tone down harsh jokes and stuff like that. Is that true in the movie comedy world as well? Has there been like a pullback on like what kind of material people joke about and stuff like that in the movies as well?
That's a great question. I would say that it's harder for a movie to make a ton of money if it's rated R, because you're limiting so many people and everyone wants to get like the teenagers in because they have disposable income. So it really depends on what the studio wants, because if they are willing to just like, this is going to be an R-rated comedy, then pretty much anything goes, I would say. But a lot of times if they do want to tone it down, then that's when they'll intervene. I mean, I saw Strays, which is like the dog hard R comedy. Will Ferrell and Jamie Foxx in the voices. If that had been a PG-13 movie, it wouldn't have worked, because like the whole point is that it's so over the top and it's dogs. So, I see what, I think I can see what you're saying. I'm sure that happens on TV though more. I feel like that does.
Yeah, I feel like on Comedy Central, there's been like a big difference in the material, like from 10 years ago as opposed to today. It's like an enormous difference,
That's true. Yeah. I think
what about sorry to interject.
No, continue.
What about movie theaters? Like, because I remember in 2020 there was a lot of like people streaming stuff at home. How is that going now? Because I'm not really paying attention. I don't really go to movie theaters. So do you feel that a lot of movie theaters are going out of business and it's becoming like people, like, how does that even work anymore? Do brand new movies, are they on TV now, like, or on the internet, or do you have to still go to a movie theater to see a movie?
You still have to go, and then I think you can still, the waiting time for it to be available to stream is not that long.
Gotcha.
I think people are coming back. I think the pandemic did train people to just wait to stream stuff. So
Yeah.
it's harder to get people out. But I think with the whole Barbenheimer phenomenon, that really changed things a lot. And I mean, the numbers for that is just astronomical. I think it's still going to take a while, but people are, I think it was the first year that people are really going back to the theater. And actually, I'm so glad you brought up the whole Comedy Central thing. Because I feel like as far as the climate goes with comedy and movies, I know for a long time, quite a bit, we got into this like ultra PC mentality, and everyone was afraid to say anything about anything. I'm starting to see like a big change with that now, and it's always interesting. I know you love South Park. South Park has never changed. South Park is just not PC, and it doesn't care, and it's never been canceled or anything like that.
So I haven't made it that far yet into the modern ones. Like, so I'm just discovering it right now. I think I'm on season 10. So I'm actually really curious and anxious. Like, I wonder what the modern ones are like, but I haven't gotten there yet. So
you'll be pleasantly surprised. They don't they don't limit themselves. So you'll love that. I wanted to ask you what your thoughts are on that. Obviously, people are sensitive, and I understand, but I think there was such an overcompensation and of being PC, and I think that that's kind of changing now, and I think people are less concerned about being offensive. What do you think about when it comes to your comedy?
I personally have never come across any issues in that regards. I've never offended an audience member before, so it's really hard for me to say my opinion on that, because as of now, I do feel like some of my material could lean into quote unquote offensive, but a lot of those topics are stuff that relate to me personally. So, like, not to get too descriptive, but like, I have a joke about like sexual abuse, but it's in regards to something from like my history. So because it's about me, I feel like the audience like understands that it's a way for me to kind of like get that out in a funny way. Like, as weird as it sounds, it's like a way for me to like get that out of my body and like turn a positive spin on it by turning it into a joke. I've never really played around with material where I'm like poking fun at other people and their issues necessarily. So it's not something I've come across. I've definitely seen and heard of people who have come across that. I mean, obviously the Will Smith thing, like that was a whole thing. There was another one, this girl, Ariel. I don't know if like you or the listeners heard about that. She was having some sort of like political joke, and it wasn't even anything like anti-PC. It was just somebody in the audience didn't like the particular politician that she was talking about, and they like threw a beer bottle at her and almost hurt her. I don't know if anybody's heard about that. So there's definitely, besides PC, there's definitely like politically charged things that are offending people. Like if a comedian is clearly on one side of the political spectrum, that could, so it's tough. There are things that happen. I just personally haven't, come across them as well myself. So
yeah, and I do think just because I've been watching a lot of Mark Norman, he's able to say like a lot of stuff in a way that's clearly not trying to be mean to anyone, but he kind of just like says like his reality and talks about that, and he is kind of self-deprecating, so he kind of twists everything that it's like it's not overboard, but it's hilarious, and it's like people can freely speak like this, but a lot of people aren't. They don't. They kind of, again, I think it is changing to where people are feeling more comfortable. But I guess it is. It's the way it's said. But I feel like for a while, you couldn't just say anything. You couldn't touch any topic. So
well, if that's the case, I'm glad things are turning around in the other direction. That's like positive to hear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna head back to the chat really quick.
Sure. So this is how stupid I am. Someone said I saw Oppenheimer 3 times. I thought Oppenheimer was a superhero movie. And then one of my friends was like, well, that's hilarious because they have as much power as a superhero, but it's not a superhero movie.
Hey, that trailer made it look like a superhero movie. That's for sure. It was it was the event of the summer, which is crazy when it's a biopic about a scientist, Great marketing on that end for Oppenheimer. let's see. Okay, so yeah, so this is the sequel I think to 300, and that's what they were talking. We were talking about this earlier, so that I'm just
Yeah.
going through it. Maxiel just wants to say this is gonna be a banger. Prenzado rocks.
Thank you, Max. I miss you.
Yes, we have to all get together soon.
I know. I'm sad that you guys live so far from me now.
At least it's like a pretty easy train ride. I think we can make that happen because you're in Philly, right?
Yeah. So if you guys are ever like, oh, I'm in the mood to visit Philly, just let me know. I'll make it happen.
Absolutely, we will. Slip de Garçon just subbed to your channel.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very kind. Okay, just to what you were saying, Matrix is one of those pivotal movies.
I'm so, as weird as it sounds, I'm so glad I waited to watch it because it was like it was like very powerful for me. So it's like I'm glad I didn't waste it. Like you get older and you like see things, like you kind of lose the magic in life. You're like, I've seen that shit. I've seen that. That's just another version of this. So this was like something, because I had never seen it or really anything like it. It was like, I'm glad I didn't waste that. Now I got to save it and have some joy in my 30s,
That's great. Yeah. I mean, I pulled out a movie from my Netflix thing that's on the waterfront. It's from 1954 and it's with Marlon Brando, and Elie Kazan directed it, and I know it's like up there in like the must-see films, and I just never saw it. So now, because it just came in the mail, I'll be watching it. I'm sure I'll have a wonderful time, and that's great. Experiencing things at different. You've waited a while. It's okay. They last forever, and that's what the beauty of film. You can always check it out.
Yeah.
So. And I apologize if I look like I'm constantly looking down at you. I'm using my laptop today instead of my desktop.
No, you're good.
Okay.
It's absolutely fine.
My camera is set up so that like if I'm looking at my desktop, it's like much more eye level, and my laptop is low. So
yeah, no worries. I have a friend here.
Oh yes, we love cats on this channel. What is your cat's name again?
So this is actually a new cat. I've only had him for 3 days.
Oh, very new.
What's that?
Very new.
Yeah, so long story short, there was without getting too descriptive, I have a family member who has an illness, and where'd she go?
I just put you on big, so I want everyone to see your cat.
I was like, where is she? I was like, hi everybody, it's my show now. No, I have a family member who has an illness, and they could no longer take care of the cat. So it was kind of like an unexpected surprise, but I love cats, so it's fine. So now I have 3 cats, and it's a little intimidating, but I love it.
Well, that cat is absolutely precious.
Yeah.
Whoops, I didn't mean to put myself as solo. Hang on a second. There we are. Now we're back. Yes, we love cats on this channel, and a lot of YouTubers have cats. So I've noticed that.
Interesting.
They're always walking around in the back.
What do you and the people in the chat room, what do you guys think about the whole like cat versus dog thing? Like, I have a theory about that. I think that people who hate cats, I think they're just uncomfortable with the fact that cats like they get insecure around cats, because cats don't just like, they're not just like listening to your ever becking call, or whatever the phrase is. Like they like, you kind of have to slowly get to know them and like get to know their boundaries. And I feel like people were like, I hate cats. It's like they can't, like they don't have the patience for that. Like they feel insecure around that kind of like energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say it's a combination of that. And then I know a few people that do like cats, but they're really allergic, so they can't have them.
Yeah.
I like both cats and dogs. My lifestyle is just currently like, there's no way I'd be able to have a dog.
Yeah.
But, and I actually, since you're in a big city too, I'd love to ask you this. So during the pandemic, it seems like everyone in New York got a dog. And so I love that I get to see dogs all the time in the dog parks and the puppies and all, like every street is just covered with people walking their dogs. Is it like that in Philly as well?
So just to correct that, I live on the Jersey suburbs outside of Philly, but I'm very close to Philly. Like I'm essentially Philadelphia. It would be like Jersey City of New York City, if you
cool.
put it that way.
Yeah.
I do notice a lot of dogs in Philly, but I can't say if that's a new thing because I'm so new to the area. So it's hard for me to say if that's like a new thing or if that's always been the thing. But I don't know. I feel like Philly's kind of like a trendy, like hipster type of vibe area. And I feel like those types of cities always have people with dogs for some reason.
Yeah. And now a lot of people are working from home. or at least they're home 3 out of the 5 days of the week, or 2 of the five days of the week. I saw that that's become very popular with the big corporations in Manhattan, at least, where you work from home Monday and Friday, and you go to the office Tuesday through Thursday. And which honestly I think works a lot better for a lot of people, instead of schlepping into the city, or things you don't have to do in an actual office. You can do them at home, but then to still have that social aspect of the job, and working on projects with co-workers, or then you get to do that in the office. I think people are a lot happier with that. I don't know if the corporations are happier with that, but that in that sense, people can actually be at home more with a dog as well if they need to. So
no, my cats have been a lot happier since I mainly work from home. I work outside of the home a couple days a week, but like I would say 80-90% of my work is from home, and my cats are like so spoiled now that I'm always home.
Oh, that's adorable. Actually, we have a big friend of the channel, KB Loves Movies. These are some recommendations for you. Star Wars and then Spaceballs. Have you seen either?
So Star Wars, I'm not sure if I would like it. I don't know. And I also don't even know what the first Star Wars is, because like it confuses me. Like, which one counts as the first Star Wars?
It is oh my god, I'm blanking out right now. Hang on one second. Let me just pull this up here. Everyone in the chat's gonna kill me. I know that. I think it's A New Hope, but I'm not positive. So let me just Google this.
Also, Star Wars trivia. The only reason I know this is because my Star Wars nerd friend told me this. Apparently, the first Star Wars came out on my birthday. So, what's my birthday according to that?
Oh, true. Yeah. I should know your birthday anyway. That makes me a bad friend. May 25th. You're good. May 25th.
Yes.
Yes.
Did you know that because you knew my birthday, or did you know that because you knew the Star Wars thing?
I looked up the Star Wars, and it is A New Hope. That's right. Yes. So that's good. So yeah, it's A New Hope. And I think the reason too why he's saying Spaceballs is because Spaceballs is a parody of that movie. It's a Mel Brooks parody. So I think that might be a fun, thing to do if you watch that first and then.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. That sounds like a good idea.
If you haven't seen Logan, I strongly recommend it. It's a superhero movie with a great personal story, and it feels like the most human out of all the X-Men movies. That's Hugh Jackman. So that's Wolverine, but they did a solo R-rated movie towards the end there.
If you haven't seen Logan, I feel like I don't know if I would like superhero type movies. I'm not sure if I'd be into it, but I could definitely give it a try.
I have to change my battery really quick, and I'm just going to put you on. I'm going to leave this here.
Okay,
and then
I can
put you.
Yes. If you haven't seen The Sixth Sense, starring Bruce Willis, that will be a good one. I have seen A Sixth Sense, so I'm mostly pretty stupid with movies, but that is one I have seen. I remember seeing that when I was really young, actually, and I did really enjoy it. Just avoid reading anything about it before as well as reviews. So yeah, no, that won't apply to me because I've already seen it. That is a great movie. I did, since she's still getting her battery, I did want to say something in response to the comedy thing. If anybody hasn't checked this out, check out the Miss Pat Show, because she's a stand-up comedian who made her own sitcom. It's actually on BET, so you would have to have a subscription to BET to view it. But she was really persistent on not wanting to be, how do I put it? She wanted to say whatever she wanted to say. And she didn't want, she wanted total artistic control. And BET was the only place that would allow her to do that. So she talks about all kinds of crazy things on the show. But on top of that, she puts this amazing spin on the show. I'm just telling him about the Miss Pat Show. Have you ever heard of this? Oh, you're not. I think your thing's off.
Oops. There we go.
You're back.
I haven't, but I did hear what you had to say about it, and it sounds really cool.
Yeah, she's a stand-up comedian, who always kind of dreamed of having her own sitcom, kind of like Seinfeld vibe, type of sitcom. And she had a hard time getting people to let her do it because it was there was a lot of controversial material on it. And BET was oh my god, my cat's just turned my light off. Oh my god. Hold on. Now is this really bad? I can turn it back on if it's bad, or can you guys
it's okay.
Okay.
Whatever you
My
want.
cats, speaking of my new cat, my two cats have been, I'll just like come a little closer because then the computer light shines on me. But yeah, no, I highly recommend the Miss Pat show. It got so many great reviews. So
That's awesome. And I did hear you respond to this comment, and this is a friend of the channel as well, 20th and 21st Century Movies. He does a great channel about a lot of the Criterion Collection. If you don't know what the Criterion Collection is, Andrea, do you know what it is?
I have no idea what that is.
It's kind of this they put out films under their name that are like really good, a lot of fantastic films that are maybe from other countries that are classics that people might not know about, and they do a really great like restoration of them, and a really great like art on the DVD set, Blu-ray set, 4K set. They've been doing a lot more 4Ks recently, so he'll like go get them, or there's a Criterion sale, or he'll discuss them and review them. Really great, really great channel. Joker is one of those movies you only want to see once.
Yeah, like I said, I just remember being so impacted by it when I saw it and being like, wow, the music, the imagery, everything, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw it the second time and I was like, and it was at home as opposed to the movie theater. I saw it in bed and I was like, this is depressing. I was like, this is way too depressing. So it is weird how I flipped.
Not something to watch when you're having a rough week, I'd say.
Yeah.
People are saying, hi, a must, the trifecta of Carrie, 94 comedies, Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber. Have you seen any of those?
I think I've seen my parents like watching them when I was a kid, like, but in passing, like I didn't actually sit down and focus on it. So I'm aware of like what the movies are, but I could give them a try. I don't know if they're on the main things like Netflix and all that stuff, but I can look for them.
I'm not positive, actually. I don't know where a lot of the Jim Carrey older comedies are. If anyone in the chat knows, I'd love to hear that.
Probably HBO Max, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, they did do I heard the Dumb and Dumber sequel is pretty bad. So, but wherever that's streaming, that makes me think they have the original Dumb and Dumber. Yeah. So, yes, so they're just discussing those Jim Carrey movies that you have seen in passing for sure.
Yeah.
People still go to the theaters. That's good to know. I agree with that one. It's getting better every year, I think. This is in relating to comedy and what we were discussing. My guess is there are certain slurs you don't use anymore in comedies.
Racial slurs off the table unless it's of your own race. The R word is still in the air.
I keep seeing it come back.
It's like so like you cannot use a racial slur against anybody that's not your own race. That's like it's a done deal. No.
Oh, that yes. No, I just meant the R word.
But like I was at that. But the R word is like some people still say it, some people don't. It's like a little bit confusing. That one, I'm not sure where that one's going. That one's up in the air.
Usually, when people say it too, they're referring to themselves, which is kind of like what you were saying too. When it's like you're saying something that might be offensive, but you're talking about yourself, then it kind of isn't really an issue. And I think that kind of applies with that one in particular.
Yeah.
No one's like, I don't, obviously hateful comedy is horrible and like that shouldn't be a thing, but I think people kind of got not confused, but they confused someone being hateful and someone making a joke. You know what I mean? And so
I will say this in the stand-up comedy, because I'm new at it. I've only been doing it for like 2 years. There are in the open mic community with like young comedians just starting out, there definitely is a confusion there where like a lot of young comedians are like, I want to be bold and tough. And they end up saying really stupid things, like thinking that they're kind of like really young comedians in their 20s, like a lot of like the F word. And I mean, not the FUCK word, though, the other one. Which like I don't like it. I don't know. Like it's kind. That's a weird one. That one's a little iffy as well. So it's just interesting. I would say it's mostly really young comedians doing that kind of stuff, but more professional comedians kind of have it down.
Yeah. No, I'm not really a fan of that word either. So
yeah.
And it's like so dated too. I wonder if the young ones are saying it because I mean, in the 90s. Men said it. Women were never like in high school or middle school using that word, but like the boys would use that word as like a common thing. So I'm wondering if because these young comedians are like looking at yesteryear of when people said that word, and it's like, well, you're not really doing anything bold anymore. You're just kind of reminding people how stupid that was.
Yeah, no, it's an amateur move, but
Yes. KB, as far as physical media, certain movies of the past won't quick get upgrades because of the climate today. Breakfast at Tiffany's, Blazing Saddles, etc. Yeah, so those do have some controversial things in them. And that's a very interesting conversation too. So Breakfast at Tiffany's used Mickey Rooney to portray a Chinese neighbor that Audrey Hepburn had, and it was like so in poor taste. And like back then, they just didn't hire Asians, or when they did, it was like making fun of them. So it's like a very small character, but it's like it makes you like really cringe.
yeah.
And then Blazing Saddles is interesting because a lot of comedians like really look at that as being really inspiring to them as far as comedy goes, and like it can be like kind of offensive for numerous reasons. I don't think Mel Brooks was ever trying to be offensive in a lot of his stuff. You know, and the producers is a great example of that. But you know, I can understand why studios have an issue with making like 4K releases of some of these things. But to, you know, if you watch a lot of documentaries or even conversations with comedians in general, like Blazing Saddles is always like something they say they grew up with, and it you know, they love the comedic writing in that, and because it was bold, but like, you know, it's a tough thing sometimes as times change. So
I saw Oppenheimer 3 times. Is it really that good?
It's really good. So the only reason I would see it again in the theater is because I didn't get to see it in 70 millimeter, which is like a different type of format that Christopher Nolan did for IMAX, which is really rare.
That's the nerdy. That's the real nerdy shit. Like, yeah. That's the real. I couldn't possibly understand what the hell that means, but this is the nerdy film girl. That makes sense.
And like it was impossible to get tickets for that. It was sold out. So but I did see it, and it is quite good. It's an interesting film, and it's an interesting topic, and very interesting time. You know, this guy just he changed the world for better or worse. And he struggled with that a lot, the repercussions. Yeah. Barbie and Oppenheimer probably win the award for best marketing campaign so far. It feels like the better marketing, the better the movie does. It does help. Did you see? I know you didn't see Barbie or Oppenheimer, but did you?
No, I for some reason I wasn't interested in I am interested in Oppenheimer after I found out about it. It sounds really cool. I think I would like it. Barbie, I don't know. I think it was so. I got irritated with how like politically charged it was, and like everybody was doing their take on it, like Ben Shapiro, like everybody was like, and I was like, I just want to stay out of it. So I don't know, but if it's actually a good film, maybe I'll give it a try. You know,
I think it's I enjoyed the first 2 acts, and they're well done, and then the messaging at the end kind of falls apart, and it's very kind of contradicts what they were trying to say in a lot of ways, I feel. But it's not, I mean, you're not going to like lose sleep over it. It's not one of those things. I think it should have been a little bit more about equality instead of how they treated the Kens. I will say that.
Gotcha.
But anyway, it'll get some Oscar nominations, that's for sure. I saw that beer bottle incident. Very crazy to report to violence.
I wonder what she means. I wonder if she saw it in person or if she saw it online. I'm wondering what she means precisely, because I think the comedian was a New York City comedian. So if she's from New York City, it wouldn't be surprising if she did see it.
I couldn't even imagine seeing something like that in person. It's hard enough watching that online.
Yeah. I mean, the positive end of it, the video went viral, and then she became a far more successful comedian after that. So it was kind of like a little blessing in disguise, but it was still like probably a very traumatic experience, I would imagine.
Yeah. When people are in the audience and they're getting so offended and then they make it, it's like called main character syndrome. It's like, where you think you're the star of the show and you have to make a stink about something.
Oh, I see that on Instagram. Like women, I don't know if men do it too, but women are posting their things like main character energy. Have you seen that before?
No, I haven't.
It's a bit much. It's interesting.
Main character syndrome definitely goes for both sexes for sure, like both men and women. But it's really, it's when you're just involving yourself when you don't need to, and like you are you think the world revolves around you in a given moment. So, and it's very cringy to watch.
Yeah,
so that would be an incident where I would, how dare people? You can't attack comedians like that. Like, just leave. If you're that upset, just leave.
Yeah.
This isn't the Globes, like the Shakespeare's theater in London. When he would put plays on, there was like the area in the front, and people would like throw tomatoes and stuff, and like that was, I think we've progressed a little bit past that.
Oh my God! Speaking of that, I want to tell you and everybody there really quick. I just recently did an open mic comedy show where the audience members were throwing tomatoes at the comedians, like if they didn't like the jokes, and I performed at it. It was really intense, and the tomatoes were not rotten. They were like fresh tomatoes, and it was like violent. I will never do it again. I had to sign a waiver to do it. I was like, the waiver said we're not responsible for any bodily injuries or harm, and I'm like, damn, these are just tomatoes. And I kind of looked into it. So apparently that's like an old-fashioned tradition, but you're supposed to use rotten tomatoes because they're supposed to be like very soft. They were throwing fresh, like you could take a bite out of them. They were throwing fresh tomatoes, and like I felt like I got like someone threw one at my stomach. I feel like I got punched in the stomach.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
It was crazy.
I don't know why that's a gimmick. Like, I get it if it's like trying to be like, oh, it's old and it's like the 1500s again, but it's like, who cares?
I thought it was going to be fun because of the like, but I thought they were going to be like slimy tomatoes. I didn't think they were going to be like violently like.
That's horrible. Yeah. We have a question for you, Miss. What are your favorite genres to sing from KB?
Okay, so I think I have my voice is kind of like sits in particular with one genre. I have a pretty smaller range. Like I tend to have more lower. I don't know which way this looks on the screen. Like, because I'm like lower, and it looks like I'm going higher. But anyways, lower down. My voice tends to be on the lower side, so I feel like because of that, I tend to sing well with like jazz songs. Some pop stuff, like similar to Billie Eilish, because she also she sings high, but in her head voice, I think mostly she sits in like the lower range. So like anything like that, like jazz, R&B. I don't do well with like really belty, like Christina Aguilera pop type stuff. Although I would love to, it's just like not really suitable for me.
And I gotta say, I'd like to put your band as well in the description. So if anyone is in the area of where you live, they can check you out and check out your stuff online too. Anything you want me to like let people know about you, like for sure, like I'll put it in the description.
Probably the best way to find me is my Instagram. It's PRANZATA, Pranzata. Everything I post about my band or my YouTube is on there. And then my YouTube should be easy to find because it's also the same name, Pranzata, PRANZATA.
Perfect. So if your YouTube's in the link, just use that same name and put it into Instagram, and then we're good to go there. We have a lot of people talking about cats and dogs. Cats, love cats. Dogs are cool as well. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people in this chat are, they don't hate one or another. I think that mentality is kind of disappearing. It's kind of like, well, animals are awesome in general. So, I have to agree with Drew on this one. Hot Fuzz is a great comedy, and I think you would love it. It's really fun. Simon Pegg has a great twist ending. I highly recommend this one to you.
I might have seen this one, but I can't remember. The name sounds so familiar. Either I've seen it and I just don't remember what it's about, or I dated a guy who liked it and he talked about it all the time. Like one or the other, because the name is like so strong in my memory for some reason.
Yeah, it's like a cop in London, and then he gets transferred to like the middle of nowhere in England somewhere in some, hick town, and where there's no crime. I mean, there's crime, but it's like, he goes to a bar and there's like 15-year-olds there, and he's like, you're not going to show your IDs or whatever, and like no one cares, like no one like it's like one of those situations, and he's kind of out of his element because he's like so used to like order and all that stuff, and then it takes a really crazy turn. So
Yeah.
yes, cats are much more low maintenance than dogs.
Very easy. They're so easy to take care of.
Have you seen Taxi Driver?
I have. And funny enough, it's funny that person mentions that, because when I saw it, I was like, this is like the Joker. I was like, this reminds me, I'm not hopeless. I drew the connection on the spot. I was like, wait a second, this is literally the Joker. So I don't know, either this is a prototype of movie that's existed in different movies that I'm unaware of, or the Joker was very much inspired by Taxi Driver. One or the other has to be true.
It was. So you were spot on at making that connection.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the stuff that's like, there's horrible. So that's the most,
there's also, I don't know if you guys know about this, but there's a similar thing that went on with music, but in the olden like classical singing music era, but it's less like race stuff and more gender stuff. Women were not allowed to sing in choirs. This is wild. They would castrate young boys.
Yes.
Chop their dicks off so that they can maintain their high singing voice, because they didn't want any females in the choir. So that's crazy. They're called castrati.
Yeah, they wanted that little boy high-pitched sounds to continue, and it's like insane.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were talking about Shakespeare earlier too, and every role in Shakespeare was always played by a man. So like Romeo and Juliet, it was two men because they didn't want women on stage. It's like so nuts. But yes, I agree with you, Jason. That's horrific to even look at.
What's an abomination?
Oh, so I guess if you're watching a movie that's probably not the best, and then you feel bad for the person in it. I'll say, I'll throw out one out real quick, and I feel really bad for Christian Bale, who was in Thor: Love and Thunder, because that movie is awful, and he really was giving it his all as the villain, and they gave him nothing, and really a waste. But I don't know if you have any.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever had that emotion. So I don't even understand the question. So the emotion is like the actor did such a bad job. Like what can you?
Well, the actor's good, but they're in something that's bad, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think I could recognize that, or I never have recognized that. Either like I'm not good enough to recognize it, or I just never did. So I'm not sure.
No, I understand that. There is a movie that I don't recommend to you that is a comedy called 42, and it's a bunch of short scenarios, and they got every Hollywood actor you could ever imagine, and the writing is just awful. It's so bad, and put them in really uncomfortable positions, and I think they thought it would be like one of those like cult classics, and it's not. And I think that's kind of what happened with that movie.
I wonder if that kind of thing like has an impact on the reputation of the actor or actress, or if people kind of understand like, yeah, it's not them.
Sometimes you can sell something to people like to come on board, and then it's like, oh, why did I sign on for this? My goodness. And then especially in that case, you get other big actors. So it's like, well, so-and-so's on board and so-and-so's on board. They're like, oh, well, if they're doing it, then I'm definitely doing it, so.
Yeah.
Oh, your little orange kitty's in the back.
Yeah, no, there he is. I don't know if you can see him anymore, but I've got 3 kitties running around in here right now.
Before I continue with the chat, actually, I'll just give this to you real quick. Just sub to your channel, so that's great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I would say I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
What are your favorite current, I guess if you were going to recommend like 2 or 3 people musically, they don't have to be like current or, you know, old, what would you say to people that you really dig their stuff?
Music, as far as music artists go. So lately I've been getting into this channel it's on YouTube. It's called Colors Show. I can't really, I don't even, there's so many new people. It's hard for me to remember them, but I'll drop a few names. Like I have a playlist that I made of them because nothing's coming to my mind right now, but I have it right here. Hold on. So here we go. Music inspiration. There's this relatively new channel called Colors Show. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on YouTube. And I like it because I'm always looking for new music, like new up and coming music. And I feel like they have just like the coolest musicians you can ever imagine. Joy Crooks, Mother May I, great song. Snow Allegra, SNOH Allegra. I feel like she's becoming more popular now. Like a lot of people who are on this channel, they kind of start off as like not so well known, but I think the channel kind of like helps them blow up. Who else? I don't know how to pronounce her name correctly, but Tersha May, Tertia May, Princess Nokia, Little Sims. I don't know. You got to check out Color Show. That's all I'm going to say because I've been finding all my new music artists on there. It's very like Lauryn Hill type vibes. Like that's kind of my thing. Like I like R&B, jazz, like modern type vibes. So if you're into that stuff, highly recommend that channel.
Love that. That's great. Fantastic. I'm always looking for new music, so that's great. I guess my next question would be any comics that you are vibing recently that maybe recently discovered.
So you guys know from the beginning of this conversation, I'm obviously a big Mark Norman whore. I love him. He's probably my favorite. There's so many other ones that I like too that it's really hard for me to say. I mean, I could name some of the classics. Sorry, but I like Louis C.K. I know it's controversial. I still love his comedy. But I'm into him. Rachel Feinstein, I love. She has a great special up. I don't know if I pronounced her name correctly. Feinstein, whatever. I think that's how you say it. So Rachel Feinstein's a good one. Joe List, he just put up a special recently. He's actually really good friends with Mark Norman. That's how I found out about him. They like co-host a podcast. Ari Shafir, he has a new special out on the internet and on YouTube. I think it's like you can get on YouTube for free. One of the coolest comedy specials I've ever seen in my entire life. So he's a Jewish man, and the entire hour special is all about his like upbringing. It was just like as like a Jew, like a man like growing up in a Jewish culture, and it was just like such an interesting perspective because like a lot of the comedians, it's like, oh, this date went bad, here's the Tinder app, and it starts to go through like really repetitive like themes. So it was just such a cool, unique, like totally different perspective, and it killed. And coincidentally, it came out the same week that the Kanye controversy came out. So like that was just like a luck of fate for him that like because that was like so pressing in the news with Kanye West and some of that stuff with like the Jewish culture, he was like, I think I was given like a gift from God. Like this is crazy. Like that this came out at the same time. Definitely recommend that one. So
Fantastic. Yeah. I actually I've been noticing on YouTube now, you're able to just watch a lot of great comedy. And I know for a while, comics didn't necessarily love to be filmed if it wasn't a special.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that that's kind of not the case as much anymore. And I think because comics were worried that they were going to be like people would copy or steal their jokes. But I think now, if you think about it, it's like, well, if your comedy's on YouTube and then you see someone that puts something out later and they copied something from you, then it's like, oh, well, they stole it. And here's proof that they stole it.
The evidence is right there, right? A lot of people who are still afraid of that, they're dodging that by doing crowd work. So yes. I don't know if you're familiar with crowd work is, but that's like a very popular theme on like social media right now is a lot of comedians are like, I don't know if I want to put my jokes out there. For one, they could be stolen, but also if I want to use it for a special, I don't want it to ruin it like in advance. So a lot of them are just like filming crowd work. I personally couldn't do that because I'm so bad at crowd work. Like it's just not my forte. I'm more of like a writer. Like I like to like come very written and prepared. So I could never do that. Maybe I could do like some one-liners that aren't like that big of a deal. But like I know that's like a big thing for comedians right now. Like they're getting really popular on YouTube and stuff by showing their crowd work clips.
You have to be so quick for crowd work. My goodness.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I might be selling myself short or like too afraid of it, but the idea of it really freaks me out. Like, kudos to all the people who have the confidence to do that, you know?
Yeah, because you're picking someone in the audience and just targeting them for quite a bit,
Yeah.
and then just going with this crazy flow. It is, and it's all improv. So
The first
yeah.
time I tried to do crowd work, I made a guy so mad that he looked like he was gonna like punch me in the face. So I was trying to like, because that's the thing, you're trying to like pick on them, and like it. I think for me it was kind of like unnatural, and I think I called him old, and he didn't like because he was with like a young woman, and I'm like, is that your like I don't remember what I said, but I asked him if it was like his sister or his
like sugar baby.
was that something like that, and
Yeah.
like he was furious, like he was like absolutely furious. So
Oh
I was
my
like, all right, this
goodness.
isn't working.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring up Dell real quick. I was on his stream last night for the top 5 henchmen in movies, and that was really fun. Great channel as well. And as always, I always like to say this to anyone in the chat. Most of the people in the chat have channels, and if you are not subscribed to them, I highly recommend it, and definitely check them out. Absolutely, they put out really great content. Let's see here. I'm in. You're gonna hate this. I have never seen the Ghost Rider movies. I know they're on my list, but I just haven't seen them. So, my apologies. Maybe people in the chat can answer that question for you. I don't. Have you seen any of the Ghost Rider movies?
No.
Oh, me either. So I should probably look into those. I like clean comedians like Nate Bargatze, Jim Gaffigan, Jerry Seinfeld, Brian Regan, and Jeff Foxworthy.
Yeah, my favorites on that list are Nate Bargatze, Jim Gaffigan, Brian Regan. In particular, well, I don't know how to say who's the best, but I'm probably going to say Nate Bargatze or Brian Regan. As far as clean comedians, are two of my favorite for sure.
I'm trying to remember who Nate Bargatze is. I think he's the only one that I'm blanking out on.
So what I like about Nate Bargatze is that he's a clean comedian that you don't even realize he's a clean comedian, because it's not that his material is like for kids. It's not like that. Like, he talks about like adult heavy themes, but he somehow does it in a way where he never curses or really says anything like offensive, and it's like incredible, because at the end of it you're like, how is that so funny? Like, he didn't say a single curse word, and it felt like a very adult like conversation, but it's just like magic. Like, that's why I think Nate Bargatze might be one of the top dogs in that regard. Jerry Seinfeld, for me, like, he is a clean comedian, but it's like a little outdated, so it's like a little cheesier. Not that like he's a genius like at the time and everything like that, but I think like in modern day, it's like one of the reasons I like Mark Norman is because I feel like he's the modern Seinfeld. Like, he writes like,
I agree.
He's like a typical joke writer, set up, punchline, observational, but he like brings in the curse words and like the more modern themes. I feel like Jerry Seinfeld is like the father of that, but the transformation is taking a new direction, you know, with
you can see such a heavy Seinfeld influence on Mark Norman for sure. I totally get that. And Jerry Seinfeld is kind of, it's like, it's such a specific era, and it's so specifically him too, and like Larry David, you know, which continues on in like Curb Your Enthusiasm. But yeah, it is like their thing, and they were the you know, pioneers of that style. And again, it's like, and it's a great way to say that, like, you know, Mark Norman is like the new version, because you can't like full on copy that comedy style, because it's just so, it's like people will just be like, well, what are you trying to do, Jerry Seinfeld everything, you know? Yeah. There are so many comedians on YouTube right now. I think it's really good for the comedian comic community. How do you feel?
So I listen to a lot of podcasts from some of my favorite comedians, and I see like a theme amongst them, that they're saying that it's been great for building friendships in comedy, because in the past it was like there was the Letterman show and you had to fight to get that spot and every comedian was your enemy. But now that everybody's podcasting, it's no longer this competitive thing. It's like, hey, we can all win. You come on my podcast, I'll promote you. I mean, we're kind of doing that right now in a way. Like, I feel like people are now subbing to my podcast because I'm on your channel. So it's like the same exact thing in the comedian world. It's very much like, hey, we don't have to compete for this one spot. We can all have our own channels and people can binge watch all the comedy. It's not like, oh, 9 o'clock on Tuesday or Saturday, you know, whatever it was, you know?
Yeah. I think it's great. And I think it gives them a lot of exposure. I actually have a list of my notes on my phone in like the notes thing. Anytime we're watching, you know, a 5-minute, 10-minute clip from a comedian, I write them down because a lot of times it's difficult. Like there's even a comedy club in my neighborhood and they'll post on the outside, like who's going to be there that night. But a lot of the names I don't know. But like if I get used to the names through YouTube, I'll be like, oh my God, I love that person. Or like,
do you remember any of the people you wrote down?
No. I'm saying prior to having a list, I wouldn't know who these people were. So
Yeah.
now it's great because it's like, oh, well, I know that name, or I'll even go to the list and then like look up where they're playing in New York or something. You know? So
right.
I think it just gives them a lot more exposure, and I'm glad people are, you know, realizing that actually filming yourself is kind of making sure that people know you came up with that joke. I saw a couple comedians recently that they were they were jokes that they stole from Mark Norman, like 100%.
Really? I haven't seen people. Well, okay. So there is something that happens a lot in comedy. It's called parallel thinking. So it's even happened to me. I'm not saying that that's the case, but like there you can tell the difference. So like sometimes I'll be like in my notebook jotting down, oh, this would be a cool joke. And then I'll be watching something on TV. I'll be like, fuck, God damn it. They did it first. Like, because no idea is truly like that unique. I feel like ideas are spinning in all our heads and like, there's a lot of similar ideas. So in some cases there is like genuine parallel thinking where they may have not seen the special, but then you can also tell in other instances where it's like, well, that's too similar. The way you phrased it, the exact words you use, like the exact topic, like this is too similar. So did you catch like a vibe in that way? Did it seem like, no, this is it? Or did it seem like it could be like a parallel idea?
It was like the exact same thing. And I forget.
Yeah.
I wish I'll text you later because I know it'll hit me. And it was like, I
Yeah.
know exactly what you're talking about though with parallel thinking. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This was one of those where like this person had their set was like really recent. And then we watched an old Mark Norman video and I was like, wait a second, this is exactly the same joke. So
yeah, you can't get away with that anymore. It's like
No.
cheesy, you know?
No, you can't. Max is just saying we miss you and we love you and keep on playing.
I miss you too.
Yes, Dell. Lots of good stuff. Comedians on YouTube.
Yeah.
Bill Burr and Norm Macdonald are some of my favorites, and they curse, but some comedians take it too far for me. It's easy to hide in like it's easy to like get away with not being as good sometimes. I'm not saying everyone, but certain comedians can just be, you know, F this and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing with like I was saying with the new comedians, like they just like go for, what do they call it, the low hanging fruit. They just kind of go with like what they think will work as opposed to trying to be creative, you know.
Mm-hmm. We've got fans of something in the house. They are a fantastic channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Their question for you, or maybe it's a comment. We'll see. Best comedian I ever saw was Bob Saget. Saw him 3 times total. Literally saw him less than 48 hours before his all-time untimely passing, but loved him on stage and on Full House, obviously. And before you respond to this, I just want to say to fans of something, I remember listening to their episode discussing this, and he did see him live, and it was like days later that Bob Saget passed, and it was like such a shock and devastating. How do you feel about Bob Saget?
How do I feel about Bob Saget? So I actually never watched his comedy very much, so I can't really speak on his comedy. And because like I said in the beginning, I was never much of a TV or like movie watcher. It's a new thing for me. I've seen Full House, obviously. Like I feel like that's like one that everybody's seen. But besides that, I actually really don't know too much about his career. I feel like his stand-up was a little older, like if I'm not mistaken. Like I don't know if he was doing stand-up. Well, was he doing stand-up recently? Well, they're saying they saw him before he died, so I guess he was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. I think the whole shtick was the fact that he was on Full House was like so not like him because he was considered like a really dirty comedian. And so then he's playing this like, you know, upstanding dad and all that stuff, and it was a very big, very different personality type for that. That's crazy you saw him though. It's such a I still don't know about that death. It still makes me wonder things because I don't know if you remember hearing about his death, but it was like he fell, I believe, or something like that, and then went to bed and then just never woke up, and it's really sad.
That is,
I mean,
yeah, that is odd.
like a freak accident, really, and that's horrible. Thanks so much for chiming in there, fans of something. I feel like he's asked this question in the past, and it's essentially, what do you think? What would you prefer to be, a werewolf or a vampire?
He's asking me?
Yeah. I think I've answered this one before. So.
Or
maybe I haven't, but I think he's asked that to someone else, maybe.
Should I be a vampire or a werewolf?
Yeah,
I think to be quite honest, I don't really know enough about the qualities of each one to pick that. So, okay, let's go over them really quickly. A vampire is, when you're a vampire, you suck. Why do you suck the blood? What's that all about when you're a vampire?
So, okay, I'll just put this in terms like this. Let's say I'm a vampire, you're not yet, right? I only live off of blood, and then I would have to bite you, drink your blood, but if I want to turn you, then you would have to drink my blood, I believe, and then you would turn into a vampire. So,
okay,
something like that.
Sounds kind of like an anxious lifestyle, but I have one already, so I might fit the bill there. What is a werewolf? So the werewolf is he turned. What does the werewolf do again? Like,
werewolf, I think they're pretty much normal, and then it's the full moon, and then they turn into a werewolf, and they probably kill a lot of people. The one benefit with I don't know if werewolves live forever, but I know vampires live forever, and vampires are always kind of like a little bit sexier. I feel like that's why I've always, like, they have like a cool. They're always like rich and cool, like, so that's why I feel like a vampire would be like a much better lifestyle than werewolf, but.
Man, and do you harm anybody when you're a vampire? Because it sounds like the werewolf kills. Does the vampire, when he sucks the blood, is that like harming the person in a way, or is it just turning them into a vampire?
I think you probably. I mean, I guess you don't have to kill them. I feel like I watched True Blood, and I feel like they probably drank from people. Yeah, you can still drink from someone and not kill them. I would say that a lot of times you have like sexy humans that like stay in your mansion, and you just feed on them. Whenever you want.
I guess I would go vampire then, because it just sounds like the werewolf style sounds more relaxing. Like, it's just like you just kind of chill, and then you get a boost of energy and like kill him until it's time for the next day. Like, that sounds like a less like frantic, like you're worried, suck this blood to live. Like, it sounds like pretty intense. But at the same time, it's like, well, at least I'm not killing anybody. So I think I would go with the vampire life. It sounds like they get laid too.
They do. Yes, they're always pretty hot, I would say, except for the one in the Voyage of the Demeter. I would say that was like full on monster version, because it like didn't have its strength yet, so it looked like scary as hell. But that was definitely not a sexy vampire, that's for sure.
So I might be into that though.
I'm gonna just bang through this chat real quick, and then we're gonna probably wrap it up. American Werewolf in London. Yeah, that's kind of like they have this. Every time they transform, it looks incredibly painful, from like a regular person to a werewolf. So, I've recently been buying vinyl records of Bob Newhart from the 1960s. Great stuff. I want to check out more from that era. I used to watch the Bob Newhart show on Nick at Night when I was a kid, and I don't think I've heard any of his stand-up. So now it makes me want to check out his stand-up. So I don't know about you, if you know who Bob Newhart is, but
I don't know that name too well, so that's one I'm gonna have to look into.
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued now, Jason. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, fans of something. Andrea and I are huge Bo Burnham fans.
Yeah, we've already talked about this. I actually don't love musical comedy, because that's a question I get a lot. People are like, you should do musical comedy. I'm like, I actually don't like it. Bo Burnham is the only one that I really love that much, and I don't just like him, like I love him. But besides that, I'm not too big in the music comedy genre. But Bo Burnham is something else. He's like, not only is he a musical comedian, he's like something. He's like I don't even know how to put it in words. He's just like such a multi-talented human being. Like, it's like music and comedy and like production, like all in one package. It's like crazy, you know.
Well, this is a question for you then, because this is about Bo Burnham. because Inside was so brilliant. I mean, that is like genius level comedy. What do you think he should do next?
Ooh. There was a time in his life where he said he swore he was gonna stop making specials because he was like, I'm done with it. I want to move on to movies. He did movies for a while, or like I think he made one movie, and I don't know if you guys, it's about like 12-year-old kids. I don't know what it's called.
Eighth grade, I think it's called.
Eighth
Yeah.
grade. It was okay. I'm glad he did that, but I definitely don't like it as much as the other things. So it seems like he's going back to that. I know he's somebody who doesn't feel pressured to create content like the modern way. Like, we got to put the content out. Like, he's very like, he sits on it and thinks about it for a long time. I wouldn't mind him doing like a special in 10 years about like the AI stuff. Like, I mean, like, because when you think about it, the latest special was like about internet related issues and like political things on the internet and that all that like Twitter fights and that type of stuff. And so I feel like that was so relevant to like what we were going through and like still are going through. And like now it seems like the thing is like progressing to like, what's AI gonna be, and like, is it gonna destroy everything that we know? So I think it would be badass if he like stepped in and did like another special of musical comedy, but like poking fun at whatever's going to happen, because we don't even know yet. Whatever happens in 10 years, you know?
Oh, I agree with you. I was just having a conversation for a recorded video about AI and how probably the biggest trend moving forward in film is going to be sci-fi films regarding that, because it is on everyone's mind, and the possibilities and that curiosity is there, where it could potentially go wrong, where it can help us flourish. It's so you know, we fool around on Chat GPT a little bit, and it's like, wait a second, you know, this could turn into something crazy. I'm always very kind to Chat GPT anytime I'm like, and I don't use it for anything substantial. I just kind of like joke around with it, but I'm always like, thank you so much for that information, or like, you know, hope you're having a great day. So when you take over humans, then maybe you will spare me. Yes, George Carlin's great. I really like George Carlin a lot.
Yeah, I love him. He's a classic.
Matt Walls joined. I apologize, Matt Walls. We are coming to the conclusion here, but thank you so much for joining. And you can always catch the replay and check out my lovely guest's channel, which is in the description below. And again, anyone in the chat, her Instagram, where you can find a lot of her music stuff, things like that.
I'll just type it here again for anybody.
Yeah, besides her podcast is the same name as her YouTube channel. So vampire seems like the easy choice. Werewolves aren't immortal. Yeah, I was thinking that too. So I would go with vampire for sure. Yeah. Also saw Joe Rogan in Orlando and joined him. I've heard his stand-up's like pretty good.
So Joe Rogan is actually one of my favorite people. Like, also a controversial statement now, but
that's okay.
Love the guy. I'm sad to admit, I like his comedy, but he's not one of my top favorites. I like it. It's good, but I still like the other names are like more better comedy to me. So I more respect Joe Rogan as a podcaster, but I do on the side also like his comedian. I actually do like it.
Totally understand that. Yeah. That's true. They do kill. I'm just saying, Del, you don't like, I guess, have to kill. You could just kind of feed, but I think a lot of them get like really intense and into it, and then they just drain them dry, I feel like, is what happens with vampires a lot. So they do have a lot of victims that don't make it out so pleasantly. Yes, Del, great point. You should do outside. Yeah, Max said that yesterday too. Actually, it's really funny. I asked him the same question, and he's like, "Do outside." That's so funny. So Haley and Max were on the same page. Haley is Eddie, who's here. His girlfriend said Bo Burnham should do outside next. That would be quite funny. Well, I have to say, everyone, thank you so much. I'm so happy you listed your Instagram, and yeah, that's perfect. Prenzada, perfect. Thank you so much for everyone joining. I will see you all next week. I'm not sure what I'm going to see this weekend because there's not a ton of stuff coming out, but we will be getting into Oscar season soon, so that'll be exciting. Couple more weeks for that. But everyone, thanks for stopping by in the chat. Thank you so much to my lovely guests. Do you want to say anything that you're anything upcoming for you? Music, comedy,
I think I'm doing
else?
a roast battle in the Poconos this Sunday. You can, if you want, you can check out my Instagram. If I'm doing that, I'll post that. And that's really it. I just want to say, if the Oscar season is coming soon and you have your party, maybe I'll make a trip to New York City. Maybe.
Oh my goodness. Yes, that'd be fun. And since I moved here, I've really just been going to Oscar parties at like bars because they all have them, and my apartment's really small. But I would love to have you join us. So that'd be so
Okay,
fun.
let me know, because like I don't know who else I would do that with,
No, that'd be so fun. I love that. And thank you so much. So thank you so much, KB, and everyone here and that's in the stream here, just popping everyone in here. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.